Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody, and thank you very much for... I know this is an effort after the keynote, second day. We just had lunch. We are tired, so I really, really appreciate the ones that I can see here. Sorry that the light is kind of like blazing in front of some faces. It's going to get over there, so probably you'll start coming closer, so beware. Now, welcome to this performance evolution that I'm going to show you in a classroom way. Because for me, this evolution, I experienced it. I have been around performance for several years, and it was kind of like a classroom for me. I want you to bring all of you to my classroom so that you will learn as well some of these tips, tricks, and learnings. Who am I? Before we start, we already got an introduction. I'm an educator, content creator, blog, podcast, YouTube channels, English and Spanish if you want to practice your Spanish. I have a book, so scan the code. I'm not going to stop too much here so that we can get into the teaching. That's me. Check it out. Get in touch. I always like to reply to messages. Now, what's the menu for today? What are we going to be talking about? I'll do an introduction quickly so that you understand truly what is performance testing. We're going to briefly talk about the old practices of performance. We will see what are the new things that you should be learning. And in the end, I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks that you can take to ramp up and modernize your performance practices. So to begin, I'm going to be defining performance testing and clearing up some misunderstandings. Something, and if you have followed me, if you don't know me, you will find out that I have a rant. Performance testing, when most people hear the term, they think of load testing, and they are not the same. Would be like saying it's the same apple and fruit. So an apple is a subfamily of the fruits, but saying like, I'm going to eat that fruit, it will sound weird. What do you mean, the apple or the orange? Which one are we going to use? Most of us have been doing performance testing or load testing, thinking of it as performance. The definition by a dictionary, testing, most of us are testers here, is to validate, verify, measure, know something about software. We are software testers. And performance talks about the speed, the efficiency, and a given situation. How fast something is going to respond to that given situation. And to do that action, that response, how much fuel, how many resources do we need to do it? That's super important, because if it's not efficient, it can be fast, but you will be spending a lot of resources. Most of the time, it's money. And management, if you start to waste money, they won't be happy with you. With the speed, your customers won't be happy, and we want to try to do software that is as addictive as social media. Raise your hand if you have a problem, addiction with social media. Instagram, in my case. I haven't tried TikTok yet. But if we were scrolling and that took 10 seconds, 15 seconds, probably you will be reading more books rather than scrolling up. So there are many practices inside of performance, not only load testing. As I mentioned, there are many other things that we can do. Things like synthetics, continuously checking what is the performance of our application. Monitoring in a way that we can know how fast, how efficient, without any automation, just by monitoring. Unitary tests will give us performance metrics in an awesome way. We run unitary tests in a developer's machine. We will catch the problem as early as possible. Chaos testing has a blurry line in between performance and chaos. And if you don't have good observability and performance practice, do chaos engineering, chaos testing will be difficult. Web performance, our browsers, they are super powerful devices now in the browser. They can run full operating systems. How many of you can open 10 tabs of your application that you're working on? Like confidently say, like 10 tabs, no problem. I don't see that many hands. So that means that your front end may be heavy to your customers, to your end users. RUM is not the one that you drink. It's real user monitoring to know and measure what is the experience of your end user. We have as well release techniques, A/B testing, canary, blue-green, etc. There are many in which we can just release our software, measure the performance, and check if it's good. And we can also do load testing with those practices and no automations. So there are many other practices, manual testing. If you have RUM and some of the other techniques that I just mentioned, you can just release the software and do manual performance. And that is something that was, if I would have said this 10 years ago in a testing conference, everybody would be like, ah, no automations? 10 people in a room clicking in the mouse at the same time? Yeah, let the real users do that. So, as you can see, most of these things came from the old times of performance testing. I see lots of young faces here, so I'm happy that probably many of you did not experience some of those things. Because in the past, we did all tasks like understanding all the system steps, getting the feeling of what the system was doing so that we could create test cases for performance, automate them, design them, and the automation was not pretty because the software was already compiled, packed, the developers were already back to their countries, and with that very difficult task, we would execute big tests, run them, gather lots of results that many times did not make much sense, make them make sense, analyze and create humongous reports. Nowadays, we should not be doing some of those tasks. Some of the changes that we have had lately is that we have moved from waterfall practices to agile, hopefully. I still see some organizations that they are kind of water fragile or something like that, trying to doing small waterfalls, not sprints. And this changes also the platform, the approach, and the way in which we are going to be doing performance, because we now have mobile devices, IoT devices, measurement, we have APIs, service-oriented platforms, the cloud, Kubernetes, AI, many things that we have to change our perspectives big time. So, what are these lessons that I am bringing to you from the teachings that I got for modern performance practices? First, focus on CI/CD and having continuous performance. And again, performance testing is not the same as load testing. Please don't do load tests continuously. That's a waste of resources, money, time, tears, blood, and we suffer trying to pull those off. Because we are now agile. Hopefully, you have an MVP already in production. You have already production working, and you know that it has you should know. If you don't, that's the first step that you should be careful with. You should know the performance of your productive environment. Is it good? Is it managing the load that you have right now? Then you know. You don't need a test for that. Even in the first time that you release that MVP, it's a smaller segment of your users. You hopefully didn't do a big bang release to everybody just at once. You had beta testers. You had a little by little release when you were increasing features, and you already know the performance. You already know the measurements. So a big step, first step that I learned that I have to take is to get out of my mind that obsession with load testing. It's fun. I call it as a Stockholm syndrome because in the beginning you suffer a lot doing those load tests in the old ways. And you end up liking it. And then you want to do that fun thing that you kind of were traumatized to like, but that's not the best practice anymore. Another element is that your whole team should be aware, responsible, care for the performance. Be a quick story. In the past, I would arrive at a project, functional, integration, user acceptance, all the other testings were already done, and I was supposed to start creating automations for load tests. Lots of users. So I start to record the automation, start And this is taking already 15 seconds, 20 seconds. I was scandalized. I mean, that's why I have so much hair underneath. It was why no one reported that this is acting so slow, so bad. So no one cared. No one was paying attention. It was, it's a performance engineer's problem. Thank you. So a big situation that you have to start to do, and that I learned, is to involve the whole team. Everybody in the team should have a way to measure the performance early, late, all the time, in production, in the front end, in the back end, a way to participate. It should be easy. What I mean, again, do not think about load. Load testing is a very important practice, but we should be assuring the systems first without load. I always do this analogy. Think of a Formula One car with the best engine, the best tires, and you assemble it. You put it together, and how do we test that each one of the pieces of the Formula One car works? Let's race it. That's even dangerous, right? I mean, if the tire is flat, check the tire pressure. Check each one of the components, little by little, or one at a time. We have this saying, SKL for one. Make sure that your software scales for one user. Don't start to push it further before you know if at a single user it's acting well, that the tire is working. With this, I'm not saying that you should never, ever care about performance, load testing. See, even I do sometimes those mistakes. Who here knows about the problem that Taylor Swift had with the ticket company? Raise your hand if you're awake. Okay, okay. Not as many Swifties here? Okay. Someone's like, no. But you are aware, at the very least. This was because this ticket company was not doing load tests. Yes, they are still really important. Very. Black Fridays, Super Bowl ads, Christmas, Mother's Day, Tax Day, all of those situations, yes, of course, do a load test. Make sure that all the users that are going to slam through the doors in your platform, that they can have a good experience. But does Taylor Swift come to your platform every sprint? We wish. I mean, that'll be cool. But that's not the case. When we are working sprint by sprint, we are concerned about that small software addition, change, update, whatever we were working on that sprint, we're concerned about it. Don't do a massive load test. Don't test your whole house if you just change the faucet of the sink. Why are you testing the garage, right? So, another important one is to start performance since day -1. I call it day -1, because if you can, I mean, I'll get to that in a moment. Before you start the project, you should already be thinking, how are you going to measure performance efficiently, early, in the best way possible? What rules are you going to give to your developers, to your team? What are everybody going to be doing with performance in mind to make it easy? Having observability implemented, having all the metrics and everything like in place. I know many of us are already in a project, no -1 decisions were taken, so at least start to try to take these steps as soon as possible. What we don't want is to just keep going with a project that doesn't have these performance steps in mind. And as well, performance early means that we will have observability, we will know the metrics, that we will have performance information without automations. Don't be scandalized that it's fun. We all love automations. We do a lot of them. But it's important that we can get those results and that information without doing that much effort, maintaining the automations to be stable. It's little change that affects the whole system. And I know teams that 50 automations, hundreds of them broke at once. And that's when like, I know that. Don't get yourself in those situations. Now, shifting left and shifting right is also important. Shifting left is not precisely day -1, but day 1 every sprint, every time that you have to work. So that with observability, you have metrics already. With good requirements for performance, the post-its that you do as a requirement card in your Kanban board that the developer will be moving, they already have a performance requirement. That this process doesn't take too long, that doesn't drain too many resources. If it's a database process, that it doesn't do a full table scan. Problems that generally will appear. It's not a single rule for everything, but try to make performance requirements at the very beginning so that the developer can put them in their code, can create an automation, can use a tool that is easy for them, and that can integrate it in the continuous pipeline so that the tests are run continuously. And now in the right, we also have observability. If you implemented it from the beginning, you were observing dev, pre-prod, staging, QA, whatever you call your pre-productive environments. But that will be inherited to production. And you will know what happens in terms of performance to your whole productive environment. And that gives you lots of power. With that, you can do the release strategies. You can release without doing any automation related to performance, and you will know what is the performance of your application. You would enable these manual load tests by your end users that I was mentioning. That will help as well, because if your developers created automations that you can inherit to SREs, to operations, everybody that is responsible for productive environments, and we are all responsible for our baby that we're creating, so we should care as well for productive environments. We can measure it and close the loop, dev to ops, ops to dev, and the information will be flowing continuously. Now, I mentioned briefly that the tool that you should choose is light, is easy, is in the best language that your whole team can catch. I always get the question, what is the best performance tool that you should get? What is the best tool for, I don't know, sports? It depends on what sport are you doing. Why are you going to limit myself to just one tool? I'm going to play soccer, so just the soccer tennis shoes? What about the shorts and the t-shirt, the goal, all the other tools that we need for a good soccer game? You will need multiple tools. So do not focus so much of having the tool, that one tool to rule them all. No. You could have multiple small ones. Each team could have their own, as long as the results are in the same format, usable for everybody. You should be able to use it on every environment. This tool for this tool for that, this tool for this, and for everything else, MasterCard. I don't know why they put that joke, it's not that good. So another learning that I had is reporting. I had lots of problems in the past with reporting. My record is close to 90 pages, one report that I had to do after a load test. And I started to insert fake pages in those reports to see if anyone ever read them with instructions. Send me an email. I owe you, I don't know, money, tacos, cookies, whichever caught your attention. You know how many emails have I received? No one ever read them. And nowadays, wasting that much time, sprint by sprint, with continuous tests, continuous executions, releases, getting those reports is kind of pointless. We have to evolve our reporting strategy to be live, to be able to see the performance live, the heartbeat of the situation, the quality, the performance quality situation of our platform. That's really, really important. Make it accessible so that the whole organization, who wants those reports? Management. Okay, create a continuously evolving report from synthetics, observability, continuous tests, so that management will be able to see them. Don't bug me. I don't have your slides, your PPT, your PDF. There's a link. Check it. It's live. It's built for you so that you're not bothering me with the relevant information. If it's the CFO, put the finance of the system in terms of performance. We're burning that many cloud credits. If it's for management, okay, how many errors? We can go to production. We have no stops. Developers, the logs for the problems, so you can create a dynamic report for each one of the teams or the people that are interested. The automation pyramid. Who knows the automation pyramid? Raise your hand. Okay. Oh, Are you asleep or do you really do not know it? The automation pyramid is a principle where you should have more coverage and more automations. I call it the Aztec automation pyramid of sacrifices. Because what happens at the top of the pyramid, I mean the Aztec ones. Not anymore, it doesn't happen anymore. It used to happen. The sacrifices. In the bottom, you have unit tests that you should have a lot. There are some polemics going around that, but still have a lot. Then maybe not that much, but still quite a bit of integration API automations. And in the top, the smallest one, because there's where the sacrifices happen. You should have only a few end-to-end, long steps, front-end. Try to stay away from those. The sacrifices, the blood, the crying, all that happens at the top. But performance testing has a second phase, because otherwise it would be just a triangle. It's a pyramid, 3D, right? In the other side is a number of tests that you should do depending on the size. Load tests for Taylor Swift at the top, few of them. Only when Taylor Swift comes, only for Black Friday. Medium size, a little bit. Most of the time, in the base, you're going to be doing lots of small, tiny, I call them Chihuahua-sized load tests. So here we go with some tips and tricks for you to improve your performance testing practices. Remember, day -1. Before you start, try to tell your team when you are going to build a infrastructure, platform, start to think about that, have performance in it, have the rules defined, that every sprint we're going to create some requirements with performance indicators so that everybody is in line with it. We have to be careful that as well, as we continue after the day -1, that we keep those rules in place. We should not become the bottleneck. Performance engineers, ironic, we are trying to find bottlenecks. But if we are thinking most of the time about automating, we are the only ones responsible for the tool, for the automation, for the execution, we become the bottleneck. So we should share all of that with the whole team. Everybody in our team should be able to create tests, update tests, execute tests, reports, gather information, create everything. It should be available to everyone. We also should follow the pyramid. On one hand, avoid the sacrifices. Please, 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 please. No more crying, no more tears, no more blood and hearty. I always think of the Mortal Kombat fatalities with those sacrifices for some reason. Don't do them. Automate where it is easier, more stable, faster, and less sacrifices. And do not do that many load tests. Please do not obsess on them. Select the right tools, multiple tools. Do you think that Batman only had one thing in the belt? That's why we had multiple tools for each situation, each case. You should have the same. You shouldn't focus only on one tool. There are also, I am thinking of a pyramid also for tools. Lighter ones at the bottom, have lots of them. The paid ones, the expensive ones at the top, the sacrifices, have one or two for those specific cases when you are willing to pay that much. Many types of steps that you should do. Tools for observability, tools for automation, tools for web browsers, tools for every part of our solution, you need a tool. And whenever a vendor tells you, this is the tool that will solve all your performance problems and testing problems, it will be like a spork. Yes, the spork gets you out of trouble, but doesn't do any of those tasks well. It's like, I'm going to eat soup, but between the lines, the soup falls and I don't get enough soup. So beware of that. Never, never, ever slow down the pipeline. The pipeline should be blazing fast. Don't do load tests that take too long. Don't create tests that are not relevant. Make it go fast. Like the Fight Club, rule number 1, never, ever slow down the pipeline. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. So now, to close as well, reports. All those reports, make them dynamic, public, easy for everybody to access, continuously watch, reach, no passwords, no logins, just an easy shareable link crafted for the right audience. And with that, I want to thank you. I hope that you got many insights, many ideas from this presentation. If we don't manage to answer all the questions, here's the QR. Again, I'm always happy to be answerable. Send a note, send a message, add me, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, like, subscribe, activate the bell, and all those things are always very welcome. And with that, thank you very much. I hope that you enjoyed this talk. Time for the questions.
Now it's time for questions and answers. And look at that. Boy, you're a popular guy.
Oh, we already have several.
Any advice on how to keep a team caring about performance with so many things competing for their attention?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. In performance testing, most of your team, one practice, dog fooding. Ask them to use the tool to experience the pain if it's slow, if it's draining resources, or if it's heavy. Another one is to have big screens with dashboard showing the performance of the application in the middle of the developer's room, QA room, or the team room, so that everybody will see it, and as soon as it spikes, everybody will be like, ooh, was it you? Was it me? Okay, let's fix it. So make it there in front of everybody's face, not in an awkward way. Don't send emails, too many notifications. Just make it there visible so that it's a shared understanding.
Okay. If management doesn't care about test results, who does?
Well, in theory, we should. As QA people, we are responsible for that. It should be, I feel guilty when I don't pay enough attention, but everybody in the team should care for performance, for quality, for everything that we are doing. It's everybody's baby. If management doesn't care, you can just analyze the impact in management language, money, and say, hey, if we don't solve this, it's going to cost this much. We're going to lose this money, sales, more expenses, etc. So those are a few tips on which you can try.
Okay. If we get the performance of a single user use and we experience increased times for multiple users, don't we have to include both cases in future tests?
Not necessarily, because in the first time, if you caught that problem if it doesn't appear for a single user and it appears for multiple, well, fix it there. Hopefully, it won't appear again if you have good observability, if you are checking that process. A good practice is like, we had a problem this sprint with this process, leave an alert on that after you fix it, of course, and leave it for a few sprints. After 4 or 5 sprints, okay, that was fixed, still working, we don't have to pay too much attention to it. Remove that check, we're good to go. So you don't have to be testing again and again and again. If you fixed it well, if the fix didn't work well, you will notice with that alert and you'll have an opportunity. Don't load test and load test, that doesn't work.
Okay. Where in the shift left approach should the performance test be run, and when should load tests be run? With every commit after merge to main, nightly, weekly?
Okay, with every commit after merge to main, no. That's what I'm saying. Load tests in the pipeline, in the merges, in the automated processes, please don't do it. The shift left should be the perf test be run. Where are the executions? So probably who asked the question were thinking of perf tests as load tests. If it's just a standard perf test, single user, run it wherever you want. No one will have any problem, single user, 2 users, 5 users. You will get metrics and there will be no problem. Load tests. This is also a peculiar situation because if you have an environment that is smaller or you only have a massive production environment, how do you test something that is similar to production, I don't know, in Amazon's production environment, which has multiple servers, instances of the same thing? You will never find the limit for that. So the general recommendation is run the load tests in whatever environment that you have, no matter the size, and find and fix the bottlenecks so that they won't appear in the larger environments. And keep pushing it in the smaller ones, because you cannot extrapolate one-to-one. You don't need massive environments. You don't need something that the management will be like, hey, why are we stopping everybody from releases, creating these other environments, a waste of time? It can be. Unless Amazon Prime, that day, when they have the Prime Day, they create a humongous environment, they do lots of massive tests. If it's a situation that big, probably invest on having an extra environment, but not after a check-in or a PR or, what was it, a commit, merge to main. No, don't do load tests. Big load tests, no. 5 users, 10 iterations, tops. Keep it small.
Okay, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions. Mikhail, Bogdan, Timmy, Ilya, and Performancer. Please
send them to me, please.
Send them to Leandro or catch him here in the conference and ask him the questions. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much.
Thank you,
enjoyed
amigo.
your presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure.